Hello gamers, today I'm going to be talking a little bit about the history of the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time that came out on the N64 back in 1998. Um, it's has got to be one one of the greatest Legend of Zelda games out there. To this day, it's a lot of the fans when they ask what is their favorite Legend of Zelda game, they always go with Ocarina of Time. Now, in saying that, my favorite was A Link to the Past back on Super Nintendo. I think it's because it was the first entry in the series I was introduced to. But yeah, so Ocarina of Time came out for the N64 in 1998. The N64 was released in 1996, I do believe, and yeah, Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past one on Super Nintendo. They came out in the early 90s. That's the one I was first introduced to. But the difference between Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past and the Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, A Link to the Past was very linear. I mean, don't get me wrong, it still holds up to this day. The music is amazing. The story, yeah, somewhat of a story, is still pretty good, but nothing compares to Ocarina of Time. Yeah, it was a huge game changer. It was a standard in how video games were made and played. Difference between Link to the Past and Ocarina of Time, as with the Link to the Past, it was very linear. As in Ocarina of Time, it was very open world. You had all the freedom in the world, and they had a mode called Z targeting. Basically, you lock on your targets with the Z button. That was the first game that ever did it. Did the lock-on system. A lot of the other companies end up copying that formula later on. Like a lot of you see in a lot of first-person shooters and a lot of like the RPGs and everything used the lock-on system. But yeah, one thing I like to see them do with the Ocarina of Time remake is to keep the gameplay in the art style. Because the gameplay in the art style, well, not so much the art style, but the gameplay still hold up to this day. But if they do end up doing a remake, which is supposed to be coming out late 2026. But yeah, just change the art style. But keep the combat and the puzzles all the same, because the puzzles were actually pretty good, and the dungeons were actually pretty good too. But the art style like for them to go with is the one they did back on when they revealed Nintendo Wii U system back in 2010, I do believe. They had concept art and a little trailer for the next Legend of Zelda game. I'm not sure if you can still find it on YouTube. You should still be able to, or look up on YouTube E3. That's the game convention they had back in the day when all these big companies like Nintendo, Xbox, and Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation were there, and they revealed the new system and the games that were going to be coming out for it. But yeah, to this day, it's gotta be the most well loved and well liked Legend of Zelda game. I believe Metacritic gave it a 92 out of 100. But yeah, like Ocarina of Time, that's gotta be my second favorite game. I know it's a lot of people's favorite, but I loved Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past on the Super Nintendo. But yeah, and what I liked about it, one things they did in the game was when you're playing as Link in the game, you start out as a child, but then 7 years goes by and you change into an adult. Everything has changed over the last 7 years since he was gone, and a lot can happen in 7 years. Like, it went from this very peaceful, well-liked town, growing up, but as you became an adult, there was a lot of evil and corruption in the world. But yeah, Navi, this character that goes with you in the game throughout the whole game. That's one thing I didn't like about the game is how very annoying she was. But she was always with you in the game. Like I remember the only thing she used to always say was, "Hey, listen." But that got pretty annoying after a while. But I'm hoping now when the ends up doing a remake for the Ocarina of Time, keep the combat but change the art style. But definitely keep the story because the story still holds up to this day, even though it came out in 1998. That's one of the things I loved about Ocarina of Time was the story and how it changed over 7 years when Link goes from childhood to adulthood. But I remember first time playing Ocarina of Time was over my friend's house. Went over one day because we were getting ready to go, I believe, get together and play a bit of street hockey. And I noticed he was playing this game on the N64 called Zelda Ocarina of Time. He was playing for about a half hour. I sit down and with him and see him play for about a half hour, and I was blown by what they done with the game. But it was a huge innovation in how video games are made to this day, especially with the story and everything like that, and the Z targeting and the combat. But I must say it was a pretty amazing game back then. I just hope when they ends up remaking it that they don't lose any of that in the game. Like, don't change anything up, keep everything the same except for the art style, because the art style is pretty horrible now. But oh yeah, and they also need to change the camera too. Like when you're locked down with the enemy, the camera can be a bit finicky. But that's one thing I liked about the Z targeting. Once you hit that Z button, you lock onto that single enemy, and yeah, that's what I liked about it. I mean, like, the combat was amazing. But anyway, guys, I figured I'd do a little bit of talking about Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time on N64 that came back in 1998. But I know this is a short video. I figured I just want to talk about it. But anyway, guys, if you like this kind of content, please like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and until the next one.